This is Johnny with Tiger Bomb MMA, and tonight I'll be going over UFC Fight Night Kattar versus Emmett, going over the entire fight card, predictions, parlays, all that shit. But before I did that, I did want to go over UFC 275. Great card. Give you my initial analysis of that, possible thoughts on certain scorecards or whatever. But we'll start off with first, I'll change this so you can know when to fucking change it. And there's going to be a skip on the screen right now if you don't want to hear this. But to begin, we had a women's fight. Jocelyn Edwards defeats Ramona Pascal. Pascal's she's a fucking bum. I don't like her. Clearly. Usually I am a fan of the Asian persuasion, but in this case I just don't like Ramona Pascal. Jocelyn Edwards, on the other hand, like she looked fine, like she did her job. I faded Ramona Pascal mainly because I didn't think she belonged. But yeah, Edwards did her job. I expected more from her, but she at least got the win. Next bout, it was Silvana Gomez Suarez versus Na Liang. See, I got this one wrong. I thought Juarez was going to knock out Liang in the second round, but she proved me wrong by knocking her out in the first round. Na Liang, I mean, she's a serviceable strawweight. She can get wins in the UFC for sure. It's just that she is totally lacking in the striking defense, and a girl who hits as hard as Juarez, despite her age, it was a no-brainer for me. It was a good night starting off, and then things got pretty rough for me prediction-wise because Kwang Ho Kang defeats Danal Batkarel via third-round decision. He looked really good. I did not sleep on his striking. I just didn't think he was going to strike with Danal Batkarel, and he proved me wrong there. He looked fantastic. That jab that he was throwing was like really damn crisp. I mean, he was standing and banging with Danal Batkarel, which in most cases would be like a death sentence, but he beat his ass on the feet with just a jab. He was knocking his head back. I mean, Danal made it really close in certain parts of the fight. Like he was bum rushing, and he just had zero fucking counter to that jab, which was a little concerning. I know the boys in the Discord were kind of saying that he was like a finished product now, and might be wrong about the Danal Batkarel, which sucks because he provides great knockouts. It's just that he is getting whipped by primarily a grappler in Kang, who's at this point no longer just a grappler. Brendan Allen defeats Jacob Malkoun. What an absolute shit show from Brendan Allen, being such a heavy favorite against Malkoun. Malkoun was just single-legging him, waist-locking him, and holding him, which, granted, that doesn't win you a fight, but it can win you a fight, I should say, but not in this situation. Allen was doing enough to, I guess, win round number 1 and round number 3. Definitely round number 3. Round number 1 was a little closer. I know some people might debate it, but Brendan Allen clearly did more than Jacob Malkoun. I don't like Jacob Malkoun, a.k.a. Jacob Muhammad. He just he doesn't do anything, man. Like, will I bet him against a guy who can't grapple? Absolutely. But it's like he doesn't do shit. Like, he was cracking Allen on the feet, which was like, oh, good. That's something. Like, you're gaining some respect, but then he goes for the same techniques, holding people down, not doing shit. Brendan Allen, he looked terrible, but he ended up getting the win. Good for him. Next bout, oh boy. Mahashate knocks out Steve Garcia. Steve Garcia, I had him to win. I picked him to win. He should have won. He should have taken him down, held him down, beat him up, gotten on the mount, knocked him out with ground and pound, or during the switch, giving up his back. Mahashate taking his back, choked him out. No, Steve Garcia thought, let me bum rush this guy with my chin in the air, and then he got flatlined. So although I hate being wrong, because Steve Garcia should have won this fight. He was, for me, the much better fighter. He deserved it. He deserved to get face planted. It pisses me off. Not because, again, I didn't really bet Steve Garcia. I had him on a dumbass parlay, but just seeing a fighter who I know is better than that get knocked out because he left his chin up in the air like a moron pisses me off. Like, that's inexcusable from a guy in the UFC, in Steve Garcia. So, not saying he's going to get cut, but it's not a good look, right? He got face planted. That's not good. I will give Mahashate his respect. He countered very well, but I do expect his loss in the UFC to be coming sooner than later. Next bout, Josh Kulabau defeats Seung Woo Choi. Didn't see that coming. I didn't see Seung Woo Choi getting outstruck by Josh Kulabau. More so, Josh Kulabau actually hurting Seung Woo Choi. I thought Seung Woo Choi was going to have the power advantage. in certain cases he did, but he just could not really get off anything on Josh Kulabau. He looked great, Kulabau, because he flowed so well. He wasn't very stiff. So anytime Sung Choi would like load up, he would like anticipate the overswing, and then he would just counter back with left hooks and overhand rights, and it was really nice from Josh Kulabau. Respect to that guy. I know a lot of people didn't expect him to win. I didn't expect him to win. So props to him. Sung Choi, I'll give him that. Like, he's fighting tough competition. It could just be that Josh Kulabau is a much better fighter than we gave him credit for, and then that loss might look really good. A loss is never good on your record, but it becomes more excusable. Like, hey, you lost to Anderson Silva. A lot of people lost to Anderson Silva. But in this case, Sung Choi, he needs kind of a layup, because after those 2 fights, it's just not looking good for him. But then again, he did lose his first 2 UFC fights, and he went on a pretty good knockout streak. So that'll be fun to watch. As for Kulabau, I would like to see him get better competition to fight. I know he called out Charles Jourdain for a rematch. I'd love to see that rematch again. But I forgot who Jourdain is fighting. I think it's a pretty good guy. But we'll see what happens with Kulabau. Next bout, Jack Della Maddalena defeats Hazman Amiv. Did not expect that. I thought, holy shit, Jack Della Maddalena, he's proving that his boxing, I mean, the guy attacks the body so well. And that's what you love about the guy. And that's what I love about the guy. That and the fact that he's so well-rounded. Like, he got put in a Darce choke. And here's what's funny. My UFC Fight Pass ESPN Plus went out, and I didn't get to see it. I didn't get to see what happened in the meantime. I did see the knockout, but I couldn't really see what happened with that Darce choke or Anaconda choke. But I went back and rewatched it, and it was very impressive. Like, Jack knows how to create enough space and knows how to defend very well. Very impressive. And then, of course, he crumbled him with that body shot. And I did not expect that. I really thought Amiv was going to make it very gritty, and I did expect Jack to win, but I didn't expect him to actually knock him out. If he would have knocked him out maybe in the 3rd, but not in the 1st round, the fucking guy, man. Oh my God, there's no ceiling for this guy. Next bout, Jake Matthews defeats Andre Fiallo via 2nd round TKO. Fiallo had it coming. He was talking a lot of shit. I don't think he took Jake Matthews seriously. And part of me, the reason I didn't actually bet Fiallo, despite me picking him to win, because I thought Jake Matthews, like, guys go on layoffs. Sometimes they come back and they look better than ever. But I'm like, yeah, you never know. Logically, guys that go on layoffs come back and they're a little rusty. Jake Matthews looked like a completely different fighter. Oh my God, I'm trying not to curse as much, but his hands were incredibly fast. He looked like a completely different fighter. Like, I'm expecting him to grapple. No, he is knocking down and hurting Fiallo, who's, in my opinion, he's got some really good boxing. He was just a bit too patient in there, and then Jake Matthews really dictated the pace and just put it on him. Oh my God, Jake Matthews. I'm excited to see him again. I just don't think he's going to be like this, oh my God, he's going to run for the title. I think he's going to meet another like roadblock. Who that is, I don't know. Maybe it's going to be Neil Magny. But Jake Matthews, at least he looked really damn good, and props to him. These 2 back-to-back Aussies were just putting it on, these guys. Joanna gets knocked the fuck out by Weili Zhang. I tweeted out that, like, at least when she face planted, her boobs broke her fall. But yeah, I did not see that coming. Like, Weili Zhang, logically, she'd been more active. Made a dumb boneheaded decision on this one. I actually had money on Joanna to win. I thought the plus money was tempting. I thought she could win, but Weili Zhang, man, she really demonstrated everything that she learned from Henry Cejudo in the grappling. Took her down, nearly finished her in the 2nd round. Like, it's a very low percentage technique, the spinning back fist. Doesn't always land, but in this case, it slapped Joanna. But to be fair, like, she was completely dominating that fight. But, God, Carlo's on borrowed time. I'll just say that. I know Jose and I were just talking, like, he's unavailable still. We should actually be recording together next week if everything goes well. But he was telling me, what if Carlos Esparza goes and runs through the division? I told him I'd give both of my nuts up. I'd wager both my nuts that would not happen. And I hope to God it doesn't. Valentina defeats Taila Santos. At this point, honestly, Taila Santos really didn't do much in that fight. to solidify a win. I think I was texting the boys in the group chat in the Discord saying that like most of the time in situations like that, very close fight, it's the old adage of you have to beat the champ to beat the champ. Like to be the champ, you have to beat the champ. And Tyla didn't really beat the champ. She kind of held the champ down for a little bit. Valentina, though, it was really, it's hard to explain, but I don't think Tyla looked all that great. She did in certain situations, like in the grappling, she looked really good. It was just more Valentina making really bad decisions. It was really pissing me off that coaches were telling her do not grapple, and then she would blitz, land some good kicks and punches, and then when they were in close distance in clinching range, she would always go for that head and arm throw. And I'm like, stop fucking doing that, Valentina. What are you doing? And then she essentially gave up position. It wasn't Tyla Santos really doing anything of note other than like the occasional really good takedown. It was just more so Valentina initiating takedowns and Tyla just being stronger in situations like that and then taking advantage. Valentina, good learning experience for her. Never to do that type of stuff again. I think it was beneficial for her to have this tough fight. That'll make her a much better fighter. But I think the writing's on the wall that if a certain Tatiana Suarez comes back, be an interesting bout between those two. And then Jiri Prochaska defeats Glover Teixeira. 5th round rear naked choke, which I know someone in Twitter posted that he actually took Jiri by submission, which was like mind blowing. I did not see that coming. No one, I don't think, really saw it coming, that it would go over 1.5 to 5 rounds. What the hell, man? This great fight. Like, I was so exhausted after watching this fight. Like, my mind was just done. Like, I'm watching it. I'm seeing Glover in that rear naked choke from side control, and I'm just like, what's happening? You know, you can't see the angle's not that great. And he gets off of him. They call the fight, and I scream like to the top of my lungs, like, he fucking subbed him. Yeah, great night. Absolutely great. Jiri, you know, he didn't look great, but he also showed me more than I've seen from him. And what I mean is that, like, I doubted his chin, his perseverance, his tenacity. I did doubt that in the beginning. I thought he was going to come in here and just knock out Glover, who, again, I didn't really rely on him either. I didn't judge him correctly. I thought he was too old. I thought his chin was going to get cracked. The guy is an absolute beast. Like, I cannot express with words how impressed I was with both guys. More so Glover, even though he lost the fight, I was like, holy shit, Glover, man. Like, I'll never doubt this man again. Like, never. Like, he nearly beat Jiri multiple times, but Jiri in that case, again, like, he fought like a dumbass. He should have won the fight multiple different times. He just kind of made some dumb mistakes. Had he not made those mistakes, you know, he's going to look like a world beater, but he is very beatable. Glover is, of course, as well. But it's just like the toughness from Glover really, really impressed me from both these guys for sure. But again, I feel a little like Jiri kind of made a fool of himself, but that was an incredible card. But let's move on to the actual card you guys came to see. Emmett versus Kattar. So we'll start off the card with for whatever reason, this is on the prelims. It's funny that when you get knocked out by Chris Curtis, you get sent back to the prelims. Phil Hawes versus Deron Winn. Currently, the odds have it in favor of Hawes. Megatron is what I mean. Deron Winn plus 200 for me, pretty easy. I think it really depends because Deron Winn, he's kind of like a little laughing stock, like mini DC, but those odds plus 200 on Deron Winn, I don't see Deron Winn winning. I mean, Phil Hawes, he has the wrestling pedigree. He's going to hit harder. I will say this, though. I do not, despite the fact that Phil Hawes is such a really good fighter, that chin is god-awful. That chin is absolutely awful. So I do think that Deron Winn can knock him out. It's very low percentile for me. So I'll go with Phil Hawes, actually. I want to say he TKOs Deron Winn in the first round. I think he's going to come out really hard. He may know that this is going to be a grueling grappling battle between both these guys because Deron Winn can definitely take down Phil Hawes and vice versa. But I think Phil Hawes is going to come out here and just bum rush Cerrone, Winn, and knock him out in the first round. Am I going to bet that? No. I don't feel confident in it, but I do predict that to happen. I do think Phil Hawes is going to come out here and try to get back to his spectacular knockout ways, because if it becomes a grappling affair, I still have my doubts about Phil Hawes' gas tank. I know he looked good against Kyle Daukaus in the later rounds. I still just got a weird feeling because Cerrone Winn, he's a little meatball. He's really, I don't want to say he's hard to take down. He can be taken down, but it's going to be a lower level of gravity. Hell, this might not even happen. Cerrone Winn might miss weight, but we'll see. I got Phil Hawes first round knockout. Next bout, the grudge match. Well, I guess the vicarious grudge match. JP Buys is sending in his boy Kyle Daukaus to fight Roman Dolidze. For whatever reason, his nickname is the Caucasian against the Darth Knight, which I absolutely love. But currently we have Kyle Daukaus minus 225 come back on Roman Dolidze as a plus 185. A lot of people are kind of low on Roman after his last fight against Leonardo Sarpoli, where he just kind of gave him a literal tour around the octagon, just hugging him behind the waist and fucking doing a Titanic and just being like, look at this corner of the cage and look at this corner of the cage. It was terrible. But he still can crack. He's still, he can still knock dudes out. His grappling's serviceable, but I just don't think it's going to be very serviceable against Kyle Daukaus. Kyle's pretty damn good on the ground. The Darth Knight, very long arms, very Tony Ferguson-esque, funky long arms, and his striking's getting better. His boxing's getting better. He's going to have actually, I was going to say a significant reach advantage because I know his arms look longer, but apparently they have the same reach, 76 inches. And he's going to have a slight height advantage. I do wonder if these numbers are skewed because I do think Kyle's much taller, but we'll see. But I do have Kyle Daukaus to win this one. I think he wins a decision, and hopefully Cheyenne, I guess what's her new name now? Her Blismus isn't cornering Roman Dolidze. That'd be some fucked up shit. But I got JP Buys winning vicariously by Kyle Daukaus by decision. Next bout, we have Cody Stamann, the Spartan, versus Eddie Wineland. To me, this is Eddie Wineland's retirement fight. Cody Stamann, he's going to win this one. I don't know if he's going to finish Eddie. I think I'm leaning towards it. I'm like 50-50 on this one because, I still respect Eddie, former WEC champion. He's had some rough fights against John Castaneda. John Castaneda made me some money that night, so I'm happy about it. But it was like, damn, he was looking really good with John Castaneda, and then he got caught. And then Sean O'Malley just, slept him. He's 37 years old. Cody Stamann, let's take a look at who he's beaten. Or actually, he's lost to who he's fought. Merab, Jimmy Rivera, and Said Nurmagomedov. That's a murderer's row. I know Jimmy is like a bit odd in there, but Jimmy can still fight, man. Jimmy's very slick with the boxing, good wrestling. It was just a really tough matchup for Cody. The rest of them, though, they're really, really, really tough matchups for Cody. Him being a minus 450 is tough, though. Plus 350 for Eddie Wineland. I do think, despite those odds, Cody is the right way to go. Maybe adding him in a parlay. I don't see him getting knocked out. I just don't see him getting knocked out. Eddie's only chance to win this one is to knock him out, and I just don't see that happening. I think Cody's got the much better overall game, so I'll go with Cody Stamann to decision Eddie Wineland. Next bout, we've got Danny Chavez versus Ricardo Ramos. For me, this one's pretty easy. I hate the odds, though. Minus 350 for Ramos. Come back on Danny Chavez is a plus 240, but I got Ricardo Ramos. I think he's just too long, too good. He's 5'9", 72-inch reach compared to the 67-inch reach from Danny Chavez. Did I say Chavez? Chavez. He's 35 years old. He hasn't fought since he fought Kai Kamaka 9 months ago, and that was a draw. I just have not really been high on Danny Chavez. He's got some slick striking, good calf kicks and such, but I think Ricardo Ramos, as long as he doesn't get knocked out, which I don't see happening, if Zabira Tukagov couldn't knock him out, I just think that Ricardo's just going to be slicker, better grappling, and I'm going to go with Ramos to actually decision Chavez. Next bout, we've got Gloria de Paula versus Maria Oliveira. Spider Girl versus Glorina. Currently, the odds have it in favor of Gloria de Paula, minus 260. How strange. Come back on Oliveira is a plus 210. Those odds kind of confuse me. Oliveira, she's not bad. She's not bad at all, really. She's not great, but she's not bad. This is a strawweight women's bout. to me, it should be a lot closer, man. Like to put minus 260 on the Paula just makes no sense at all. Do I think she's going to win? Yes. Do I think she can lose? Absolutely. So for me, I will go with Gloria de Paula. She's training at a shooter box, Diego Lima. She should have the momentum of that gym, of course. That's what I'm thinking. She's training with the champ. She's training with Alan Nascimento, who's also really good. Like she should be developing her skill sets much better, but I just do not trust her to put her on any sort of parlay or any sort of bet on her. For me, betting wise, I'm going to go with Maria Oliveira. I do really think she can win this fight. I just do not trust her at all either. Just the odds to me are a little tempting. So I think I'm actually going to put a straight bet on her. I'm not going to put her on any parlays because from what I can gather, she's kind of scrappy. She's a purple belt in jiu-jitsu, primarily a striker, but she did get taken down quite easily against Baby Shark. And yeah, I'm going to go with Gloria de Paula. I think she wins this one by a decision as well. There might be some scary moments in there. I think Maria Oliveira might actually crack de Paula. De Paula's not the greatest striker herself, but she's serviceable. I'll go with de Paula by decision, but for me, putting an actual bet on Oliveira, I like funky lines like this for women's MMA. I know they're kind of dumb. You don't bet women's MMA, but if you're going to take the value side of like plus 210, I'm assuming it's going to get even more juiced down the line. That's worth a shot for me. I'll put $20 or something on it, $50. Next bout, Jasudavicius, she SP, if you will, against Natalia Silva. So I didn't know much about Silva, so I had to go do some research on her. She hadn't fought in about 2 years, 2.5 years. So she is a Taekwondo, probably a black belt because everybody who does Taekwondo is easily a black belt, and a purple belt in BJJ. Jasudavicius, she's a minus 255. I don't know if I read the odds already, but minus 255 for Jasudavicius. Come back on Silva plus 205. Is there value on Silva? Not for me, not at all. Compared to the previous fight, I just don't see that having much value on a much smaller girl who hasn't fought in 2 years against Jasudavicius, who, she's primarily a striker, but she has shown really good wrestling in there. Like she's able to take girls down and hold them down, use her length. So if it becomes like a battle of like the kickboxing or the taekwondo, because watching tape on Silva, like she's a striker. She can do taekwondo, but she does a lot of side kicks. I don't know, man. Like I just don't trust her little stubby legs to touch Jasudavicius from distance. She seems a bit harmless to me. Like, can she knock girls out? I would say so, like low level girls, but she kind of reminds me of the Taekwondo female version of Bruno Silva. No, Bruno Souza, the Machida karate boy. He's a black belt in karate, Machida karate, but he just seems a little harmless. That's my perception of Silva. If she comes in here and knocks out Jasudavicius, like, oh shit, I was so wrong, but I just don't see it happening. I got Jasudavicius. I'm leaning decision, but part of me is saying she's going to finish Silva. So, fuck it. I'll go with Jasudavicius TKO round number 2. She gets on top of her, just blasts her, gets a TKO finish. She SP lives on. Next bout, we've got Jeremiah Wells versus Court the Crusher McGee. These odds are interesting. Minus 120 for Wells. Come back on McGee is a plus 100. Let me move my screen. Whoop. And this one's kind of tough because I'm leaning, obviously, Wells because he's on a good win streak. He's powerful. But Court McGee, he can really give dudes vet lessons on here. So personally, for me, no bet on this one. Most people who watch this channel should know about Court McGee. He's I can't remember the type of karate, but he's got that karate background. He's a very good grappler. He doesn't get tired. He's very tough. He survived ODing. He's going to survive a lot of shit. I think who was the only person to knock him out? I can't remember who knocked him out. Was it Rob? Whatever. But Jeremiah Wells, he concerns me a bit. Like as much as I like him, as much as I picked him to beat Jake Matthews when they were initially set to fight, he subbed a guy named Blood Diamond pretty damn easily. And I should have put more money on him straight against Blood Diamond. Like the odds in the beginning were really generally close. Like they weren't completely out of this world. And I should have taken advantage of it. So I feel a bit like shit, I should have. In this case, those odds minus 120, they're very tempting, but they seem like a trap to me. Like like Court McGee can really put it on Jeremiah Wells, because Wells, he's got the background, the BJJ black belt, very strong. He hits really damn hard. But if he cannot take down Court McGee, and if he can't knock him out, will Court McGee eventually like start attacking the body with teep kicks and slow him down? It does concern me definitely, because I think obviously Court McGee's fought the much better competition. I am leaning. Ooh, man, I'm so really, really leaning both ways. I'm like 51% Jeremiah Wells and 49% Court McGee. And honestly, like I do want to take the dog, because it seems to me like that's the value side opposed to Jeremiah Wells. But like I'm kind of stuck. Like I really don't know which way to go with this one. I'm really close. I kind of want to do a little bit more research on it. For right now, you know what? I want to go with Court McGee. Like I'm gonna go for it. Like I initially had Wells to win this one. I didn't feel confident in it, but I'm like, I'm leaning Wells. I think I'm gonna go with Court McGee right now. My opinion on it might change come the next few days or so, when like interviews come out. Maybe Jeremiah Wells says something like, I fucking went to Russia to train with the best Dagestani wrestlers, and then I went to Floyd Mayweather's gym to train my boxing and my defense for the last like few months. And I'd be like, oh well, shit. And then Court McGee's like, oh yeah, my wife left me. I'm like, well, fuck, that's not going to be the best pick on Court McGee. But right now, based on what I've seen, I'm going to go with Court McGee. I might put a bet on him. Man, I do feel like either guy can take this one. It could just be like my respect for Court McGee that's taken over, because like I do feel like he isn't the same fighter he was obviously a few years ago. I do respect the guy. I think he's really tough. And Jeremiah Wells, he's not the type of guy I can really expect to like not necessarily put a pace on dudes, but I guess put a pace on him and to outvolume him with strikes. I think Court McGee's that guy. And Court McGee's chin, if it holds up, I think he can actually decision Jeremiah Wells. It'll be interesting. So I'll go with tentatively, very much so married with his kids still intact, Court McGee, and we'll see what happens. But at the very moment, Court McGee for me. Next bout, Adrian Yanez versus Tony Kelly. This one's very interesting because of the odds. I know a lot of people like to make their decisions based off of the odds. There's a lot of value on Tony Kelly. He's at a plus 280. Come back on Yanez. He's very inflated at a minus 360. Now for this one, it's like no tape watch. I've done a bit of tape watch on both these guys. Of course, I remember what Yanez can do, but the most concerning thing from Yanez is his defense, right? His offense is great. Like he attacks the body well. He counters very well, but he can get hit. He's just not very defensively responsible sometimes, but his chin holds up and he knows how to fire back. And then Tony Kelly, on the other hand, the guy, he's not been knocked out ever. And he's only lost to Kevin Aguilar and Kai Kamaka. Kai Kamaka's got a very good style, at least at the time. He's kind of fallen off in my radar for a bit, but Kai Kamaka, good striker. He went for takedowns. Adrian Yanez, I don't think he's going to go for takedowns. His best takedown is going to be a left hook. For me, it was like, should I look into Tony Kelly? What can he do to Adrian Yanez? Like the volume he really displayed against Randy Costa was impressive. He finished Randy Costa in the second. Both these guys did. Which one was more impressive? Well, for me, Tony Kelly put a pace on Randy Costa, and Costa did not look. He didn't look good in that fight at all. He did look good against Adrian Yanez. Adrian Yanez, he looked very slow in the first round. He was getting touched up a lot, and it was concerning. So I'm like, is there a way that MMA math in a way can really dictate the winner for the underdog? To me, no. And I'll explain. I think Adrian Yanez is very hittable, and he fought a very good guy in Davy Grant. Like he beat Davy Grant. Davy Grant gave me a scare in that fight because he was landing some good bombs on Adrian Yanez, but Adrian really counters well. And for me, it's more of like, despite Adrian's not necessarily lack of defense, he just needs to sharpen his defense a bit more. I think that's something he can really work on. What I saw from Tony Kelly in his fight with Randy Costa is that he left his chin exposed a lot. His defense was offense. He was just going forward, and Randy just kind of like shelled up and he didn't know what to do. He got tired. Yanez isn't going to get tired, and Yanez is going to have much better firebacks in the countering range inside the pocket. I think Yanez is going to crack Tony, probably not finish him, but he's going to severely hurt Tony, and it's going to be obvious. And I like Tony Kelly. Like he's a good fighter. It's just that him leaving his chin up in the air a little bit in these exchanges doesn't really put his hands back. He throws a lot of kicks. He's got a lot of volume. So in the beginning, it might be a lot of volume from Tony Kelly. Yanez might be a little bit slow, but in the later half of the first round, I think Yanez is going to find the range. He's going to find his shots, and he's going to counter very well. He might drop Tony. See, this is what I'm thinking. I think Kelly's going to win a majority of the first round, not by a whole ton, but clearly like, oh, he's landing more. Yanez is going to crack him, drop him, get on top of him, maybe swarm him. Round's going to end. Yanez is going to steal that round. And then after that, same thing. Like Tony's going to get cracked, and then it's going to end up being a decision win for Yanez. I'm expecting Yanez to fix these holes, right? If he doesn't, he deserves to lose, especially at those odds, minus 360, minus 350. But for me, Yanez is the play. Like I am a bit tentative to add him onto any parlays. If I do, it's just kind of like a long shot, but I'll go with Adrian Yanez. Is there value on Kelly? Of course there is. Kelly's a very good fighter. We'll see how well his chin holds up against Yanez. But to me, Adrian Yanez, despite me knowing his day is coming, right? I know his day is coming. I just don't think it's Tony Kelly. But I could be fucking wrong. Next bout, Julian Marquez versus Gregory Rodrigues. I really, really wanted to find a way to have Julian Marquez win this fight. There is a very slim chance it happens. He is a plus 165 underdog. Rodrigues, aka Robocop, comes in at a minus 200. Robocop, for me, is going to win this one. I think he is the much better fighter, much better striker, much better grappler. It's just that if he backs himself up against the cage, the man bear himself, the Cuban Missile Crisis, I say this a lot about guys. He's not a dumb guy. I don't think he's an idiot. I don't think he doesn't know the square root of 2. But I do think that he fights dumb sometimes. He gets a little emotional and he bum rushes and he leaves himself exposed. In those moments of his brain leaving his body, he can really severely crack Gregory Rodrigues. Gregory's been knocked out before. And I'm looking at his fight with Armen Petrosian, where it was a back and forth brawl. Both these guys cracking each other, I don't remember they dropped each other. All I remember is me losing a lot of fucking money because it did not go inside the distance. It pissed me off. It really fucking pissed me off. Like, how can you do this, God? But Rodrigues, I think he's gotten a lot better. His chin is holding up really well. Defensively, he's good. Striking-wise, he hits hard. To me, Gregory Rodrigues is the play. I think he's just a much better fighter. Julian Marquez, he has not looked great since coming back from his debilitating arm surgery. I forgot what happened to his arm where he just lost a lot of mass. But he's losing to Maki Pitolo. Maki Pitolo is just out grappling him. And then Sam Alvey was cracking him a bit, and then he just bum rushes Alvey. So you can't count out Julian Marquez. For me, Rodrigues is the play. I'm not touching this one, though, at all. I would stay away just because logically I expect Rodrigues to outstrike Marquez and then take him down, hold him down, maybe not submit him, but just do rinse and repeat. Maybe even hurt Julian Marquez, drop him down. To me, a guy who lost to Alessio Di Chirico, I just don't really feel comfortable, especially the way he's been looking. I think he's the rightful underdog. I do believe he can win. Again, the dude will come out there, man, bear, pigging dudes, and just knock him out against the cage. He can even submit Rodrigues. He's a brute. He's a brute. But Rodrigues, I think he's going to be just too technical. And, props to RoboCop, man. He's really been impressing me. He's not been knocked out yet. Despite, what's his name? The Iron Turtle nearly knocking him out. He reversed Uno carded his ass and then knocked him out. And then next bout at lightweight. Is this the main card? Yeah, this is the main card. Damir Ismagulov versus the returning Garam Kutateladze. Is that it? Kutateladze. What an interesting name. The Georgian Viking. I've been asking where the hell's he at. I know he had a knee injury. he was supposed to fight some guy. I can't remember his name. Supposed to fight somebody, and then it fell off a couple times. But I'm glad he's back. The dude is the guy who gave Gamrot his first loss, especially it happened in the UFC. And same dude that, like, after he clearly won that fight, like, he did win that fight, he was like, I lost that fight, this guy won. He was mad at himself. I'm like, that's the type of shit you want to see sometimes. Like, not because it's like a psychological deterrent, like, oh, I didn't win the fight. It's just like he was so hard on himself. Like, I need to get better. The guy trains with Khamzat Chimaev. The guy's very, very good. I really like Guram Kutateladze. He's plus 145. The comeback on Demir is a minus 170. Demir's also very, very good. He's so meat and potatoes good. Like, his striking's good. His takedowns are good. He's just so very, very good. Guram, I think he's got the more explosive technique with the kickboxing, and it's going to be an interesting bout. For me, though, I cannot let my emotions get the better of me on this one. I do want Guram to win. I really want him to win because I want to see more of him. He's very exciting. Like, he's very, very damn good. Like, his ability to scramble from the bottom against Gamrot. I know that was, what, 2 years ago? A year and a half ago. It was impressive. Like, you're watching tape on the guy. He's very impressive. He's 12-2, and then you're thinking, man, like, where's this guy? I want to see more of him. But he did have a knee injury. I said that weird. He did have a knee injury, and that does concern me. He has a layoff. Demir's been fighting. He's been winning. He knows how to win. He's got his formula perfected, in my opinion. I want Guram to win because, again, I like the guy. I really like the way he fights. But to me, I think Ismagulov is just he's going to take the fight that Guram should have initially won, because I think Guram was like the favorite during that fight. He, on paper, should have won, but Guram really, like, overperformed. I don't want to say overperformed, because that's not fair to him. Like, because overperforming indicates that he should not have performed like that. He fights at a certain level. He really opened a lot of people's eyes. So I'm glad to have him back. He's a tough Georgian fighter. I'm rooting for the guy, but I think Demir decisions him. Like, it just is what it is, man. Like, coming back from a knee surgery, like, it's really rough. And for me, I'm not touching this bout. I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to root for Guram. But for me, Demir Ismagulov, he's been more active. It's just, I am worried about that knee injury. Like, if he comes back and he looks better than ever, fantastic. But with certain dudes, as we'll get to later, when they come back from multiple injuries or just injuries themselves, you just can't right off the bat jump on that train. I'd love to, but I'll go with Demir to win this one by decision. Next bout, Joaquin Buckley versus Albert Machete Duraev. The odds have it in favor of Duraev, minus 200. I'll jump on that really quickly. And then Buckley is a plus 170. Duraev, for me, is going to win this one. Buckley has a puncher's chance, of course. Part of me really wants Buckley to knock him the fuck out. I don't really like Duraev. This is the opposite of me and, what's his name? Kutateladze. But Duraev, I think he's going to just take him down, rinse and repeat, get on top of him, mess him up. Oh, man. Had Buckley not fought Al Hassan and looked pretty shit in that fight, in the grappling, I would have given him a better shot to potentially knock out Duraev, but I just don't see it. I'm going to go with Duraev. I think he's going to TKO Buckley in the second round. Buckley's explosive, so I expect him to be able to stuff a couple takedowns, like hop on one leg, maybe even try that spinning back kick that he did on the one leg. Possible. He might try it again. It's not going to land, and Duraev's going to take him down and beat his ass. It pains me to say again, I don't like Duraev. I don't care for the guy. A lot of shit out there about him. I don't like him, but I think he's going to actually win this bout pretty convincingly. He's going to pounce on Buckley. Then he's probably going to call out Israel and whatever, because that's the type of asshole he is. Tim Means versus Kevin Holland, the Dirty Bird versus the Trailblazer at 170. There's a certain someone in the group chat, in the Discord, who keeps changing his name, that mentioned to me that Kevin Holland looked pretty good during his weight cut. Like, at 170, he looked and acted just as he did at 185. So that's always a big concern, him dropping the weight, because, of course it is. He's a big dude. He's 6'3", fighting at a welterweight, but he is fighting Tim Means, who is a 6'2" guy. To me, that reach that he's going to have over Tim Means is just going to be too much for Tim. I like Tim. Like, I've always been a fan of the Dirty Bird. I just actually realized why I used to hate George Masvidal just at this very moment, because I was quite the fan of Tim Means, and I thought Tim Means was going to put it on Masvidal, and Masvidal kept taking him down. At least that's what I'm remembering. Let me make sure. I don't want to sound like an idiot. Tim Means. I think I'm remembering that right, unless it was somebody else that kept taking him down back at lightweight. Yep, it was Masvidal. He kept taking him down, and I just hated him. I hated George Masvidal. I'm like, this fucking pussy. He says he's a striker, and he's not striking with Tim Means. That's crazy. I just remembered I used to hate Masvidal. I kind of don't like him anymore. But Kevin Holland, for me, I think he's going to find a good punch on Tim Means. Tim Means he's a good fighter, right? He's getting up in age, though, and I think he's going to try to shoot on Kevin Holland to try to take him down, try to exploit that takedown defense that he doesn't have, that he's been working on at Hendrickson. But Kevin Holland, I think he's going to get a submission. I think he's going to choke out Tim Means, probably with like not a guillotine. I just don't see him pulling off guillotines. I'm going to say a rear naked choke. Damn, I just remembered. I couldn't remember how he finished Alex Oliveira, Kevin Holland, that is. And I guess he knocked him out. Right hook and ground strikes. That's crazy. How come I don't remember that? I do remember Tim Means fighting Alex, and he lost to Alex officially. So MMA math is on my side. I'll go with second round submission for Kevin Holland. Yeah, I'll go with submission. Tim Means is tough. He can go for the takedown and try to stop any barrage. I think that's where Tim Means is going to get submitted. Next bout, co-main event, Donald Cerrone versus Joe Lauzon. And Cerrone is the slight favorite, minus 165. Come back on Lauzon is a plus 145. I initially had Cerrone. I'm going to stick with Cerrone. I think Cerrone needs it more. Joe Lauzon, man, do not bet Donald Cerrone. If you're going to bet any of these guys, bet Joe Lauzon. I think he can knock out Cerrone. I think he can submit Cerrone. I'm still going to go with Cerrone, though, just because I'm hopeful. I just want to see Cerrone get back on that horse, if you will, being that he's cowboy, and ride off onto the sunset with a win. That's what I'm hopeful for. This is not a logical pick. This is more of an emotional pick. Don't listen to what the fuck I have to say about this one. I like both guys, clearly. I really like Joe Lauzon. Like, Joe Lauzon's a great fighter. It's just that I'd like Cerrone to end his career with a win if he does retire after this fight. I think Joe Lauzon has maybe one more fight left in him. It'd be great. If say these guys go into a fucking war, like fight of the year type of candidate for 3 rounds, I'd be happy. Maybe a split decision, maybe even a draw. I'd be happy. That'd be the best outcome. But for me, I'll go with Cerrone. I'll say maybe I'll say a decision. I just don't think he's going to be able to knock out Joe Lauzon. Can he? Absolutely. I just don't see it happening. I just don't think Cerrone has it in him anymore. And then our final fight, main event, Calvin, the Boston finisher Kattar versus Josh, I forgot what he was being told to be called. I guess something from Skyrim. I don't play Skyrim, so I don't know what like the goblin thing that they were trying to have him change his nickname to. But Josh Emmett, man. I like Josh. He's 37 years old, though. That's all I really can say about that. Josh Emmett, I was in the shower a couple of nights ago, and it's kind of gay thinking about it, that I was thinking about Josh Emmett in the shower. But I was in the shower thinking about this fight, and Josh Emmett, I'm like, damn, I remember not knowing who the fuck Josh Emmett was when he came into the UFC. I just had heard that he had an excellent like knockdown rate. Like, he knocked down that Brazilian cowboy dude. Not that his nickname was Cowboy, but like, no, it wasn't him. I can't remember the guy's name, but he wore a cowboy hat, knocked him the fuck down multiple times. I'm like, okay, interesting. Dude's knocking dudes out, and you're like, wow, this guy, like, he doesn't look or give me the feel of a guy that can fight for the title. And then, he is knocking dudes out just left and right. And then he runs into Jeremy Stephens, and Jeremy Stephens fucked him up. God, he hurt him really bad. That was 4 years ago. That's when Jeremy Stephens was on like a rampage, like a drunken rampage, that boy was. And then He comes back, he fights Michael Johnson. He looked rusty. He still gets the knockout. He knocks out Mirsad Bektic with a jab. I think I remember saying like, I forgot if it was, no, it wasn't me. I'm not going to take credit for it. Someone was saying like, Mirsad Bektic's already knocked out and they haven't even fought yet. And then that Shane Burgos fight, fantastic. And then he decisions Dan Ige. The guy can crack. The guy's very good. The injuries have just been piling up. And as much as I like Josh Emmett, I just think this is the end of his road. I just think that like at 37 years old, like I'm saying this after watching Glover Teixeira, who Josh Emmett slightly resembles, went out there and had a fantastic performance at 42, but that was at light heavyweight. You know, he's not cutting as much weight as Josh Emmett. Calvin Kattar, though, a lot of people counted him out against Giga Chikadze, and I'm always kind of awkward when it comes to this because I don't want to say like, well, I always knew that he had it in him, but in reality, I did. Like I picked against him. I was dead wrong in picking against Calvin Kattar against Giga because like the trend, like you're kind of stuck in thinking like Giga's just so damn good, his kickboxing good. But in the back of my mind, I made this clear. Like if you want to go back and rewatch it, I did have my doubts about Giga. You know, Calvin Kattar, he went away, he came back after a nasty ass whooping. Like the visual of him getting his ass beat really makes you think he's kind of a little bitch. And that's just my phrasing of it, but it makes you think less of him. He comes back, he looks better than ever. He beats the shit out of Giga, and no one saw that coming. I mean, partially, I'll say it, I didn't see it coming. I thought there was a chance that he could win, but I didn't expect him to style on him like that. I mean, Calvin at this point, he's a minus 240 to come back on Josh Emmett as a plus 190. I expect Calvin to actually knock out Josh Emmett. I think the uppercuts are going to be there. Josh, he can crack, but Calvin's got a really good chin. And I think Calvin's going to be returning fire with beautiful counters. But we'll see, you know, this could very well be like a fight that just you don't see coming. Like Josh Emmett, he's expected to lose, puts on a fantastic performance. The thing about Josh, though, he's a tough dude. Like he's absolutely like oh my God, like you got to respect him. He fought Shane Burgos on one leg and still won the fight. You know, he was cracking Shane. I respect that. Like I love Shane Burgos. Even Calvin knocked out Shane Burgos, but still I love Shane Burgos. It's just that to me, Calvin, he's just going to be too much. I think the Calvin that we saw against Giga was a different animal. He was a different animal. He was like, he took that loss against Max very personal, like getting your ass beat on live television on ABC, no less. That changes you on the inside. Like you either are going to never be the same fighter, meaning you're gonna suck. You're gonna get beat by guys like fucking, I don't know, Mirsad Bektic, for example, even though he's retired, or you're going to come back better than ever and beat the shit out of a guys like Giga Chikadze, who his stock did not drop with me. He was super tough. He just could not finish Calvin. I don't see Josh Emmett finishing Calvin. I see Calvin Kattar knocking out Josh Emmett. In the later rounds, round number 3 for me is going to be the pick. Josh Emmett might take him down in the first round, maybe first round and a half, and then Calvin's just going to eventually start timing uppercuts, knees. He's going to be the much taller fighter. He's 5'11" compared to the 5'6" of Josh Emmett. And I just see Calvin Kattar mixing in not just the hands because he was just primarily a boxer. He's going to be throwing elbows, maybe for sure uppercuts and knees up the middle. So I'll go with Calvin Kattar for me, a third round knockout. But moving on to possible parlays, I do have one long ass parlay that I think I will actually go with. But I have Albert Duraev. I've got Phil Hawes, Demir Ismagulov, Jasudavicius, the CSP, Gregory Rodrigues, Kevin Holland, and Cody Stamann. That gives me a plus 1050. You know, put $100 on that, which I won't do. I'm not stupid. It gives me 1,142. Like for me, I do a lot of stupid parlays like this, but I know my boundaries. I know not to go nuts on it. Like $100 is not crazy, but I like to really turn like $10, $20 into a much bigger profit. Like, and I like to take that profit and then bet it on someone that I think is going to win for sure, or maybe a light parlay. But in this case, I'll say I'll do $20 on that, and that would get me about $220, $250. I'll then reinvest that on like a different card. I might start actually doing multiple card bets again. Those have been really profitable. Thank you, Tatooine Dream, for reminding me I can do that. For a bit, my casino directly wouldn't let you do that. It would only let you bet like that week's card, and things have gotten a lot better at my local casino. So I'm happy to see that. I might start online betting again because it like live betting, man. Oh my god, that live betting on Jaws and Edwards versus Ramona Pascal was fucking ridiculous. I'm like, who is setting these lines, and why am I not taking advantage of it? So yeah, I did like that. It kind of gave me the motivation to actually live bet again. So I'm tempted, but yeah, those are my possible retard parlays. Let me give you an actual real parlay that I think might actually win. I've got, just looking at these guys, I'm going to go with Adrian Yanez. I think he's going to beat Tony Kelly. You know what? No, I said not to bet him on a parlay. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go with Cody Stamann instead. Cody Stamann and Kevin Holland. That's not too bad. Those two guys, I think they're going to clearly win these fights. I want to go with Gregory Rodrigues, but I do think that's like something bad could happen there. Like something really like a malfunction in the matrix could happen. I do actually Jasudavicius. Ooh, she's a woman though. Let's just go to be safe. Kevin Holland and Cody Stamann gives me a minus 140. So at that point, I'd put like a couple, just say $200 on that. I might end up doing that. But those are my possible parlays and picks for UFC Fight Night, Kattar versus Emmett. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, support the channel. I will say, though, next week, me and Jose, we're planning on actually doing an episode together again. It's been our schedules have been absolute shit. And I want to really get back to the same format, better pictures, not just the picture of the two guys facing off. It does bum me out a little bit because like I want to set a standard, but I just have had no time. So I appreciate those of you who have been watching still. Everyone in the Discord, of course, follow the Discord, follow Instagram and Twitter. That's been Johnny from Tiger Bomb MMA. And as always, I leave you with fuck Olberg.